5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Huge breaking news right now.
We will not raise tax on working people. No tax rises for income tax, for national insurance, for VAT. We will not raise income tax.
1, 2, 3, 4 different national newspaper front pages, all of them leading on Rachel Reeves, who is set to break the most important of all of Labour's manifesto promises. Tomorrow, she will pave the way to hike your income tax. Absolutely shocking. Meanwhile,
we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
well, the BBC is in absolute crisis. Heads have to roll because the Daily Telegraph exposes it for doctoring footage of a President Trump speech to make it look like he was encouraging the Capitol Hill riot. Any ideas how many staff BBC Verify's got? 60. You know, it's got an annual wage budget of £3-point-something million a year. And actually, they can't... I'll tell you what, verify that then, you numpties. Meanwhile...
There will be a general election caused by economic collapse that will happen in 2027.
Well, as Nigel Farage promises to overhaul Britain's economy, Reform UK is set to hike council taxes by up to 5% across the country. Do you feel betrayed by that? Plus,
to go after the criminal gangs, to smash the gang networks.
To smash the smuggling gangs.
Smash the gangs. To smash the gangs.
Gosh, what's the sound of that? Is it just another whopping lie, is it? Well, it looks like the UK, in fact, it doesn't look like it, it is. The UK has recorded the biggest increase in asylum claims in all of Europe, and it also happens to be our record year for asylum claims. Oh, my panel are champing at the bit for tonight's news. The former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, and GB News contributor and comedian Leo Kearse. Lots to go at, but first, let's get those headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Patrick. Good evening to you. 2 minutes past 11 here in the GB newsroom. The BBC's been accused of doctoring a speech by Donald Trump by making him appear to encourage the Capitol Hill riot in 2021. The Telegraph says it's seen a dossier on BBC bias compiled by a recent member of the Corporation Standards Committee that claims a panorama programme broadcast a week before the US election completely misled viewers by splicing together footage from things the US president said 1 hour apart.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
BBC spokesperson has told GB News while we don't comment on leaked documents, when the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. Police are investigating if a man accused of a mass stabbing attack on a train in Cambridgeshire is linked to 3 other knife incidents over the weekend. 32-year-old Anthony Williams has appeared in court charged with 11 counts of attempted murder, including an incident in East London on Saturday morning. The stabbing of a teenage boy on Friday and 2 sightings of a man with a knife at a barber's in Peterborough on Saturday are now part of the inquiry. Scunthorpe United footballer Jonathan Joshua is one of 8 people who remain in hospital. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has praised police, first responders and the heroic actions of the driver and members of staff aboard the train.
We all share in the revulsion of this shocking incident, but there's no doubt that their collective action, their brave action, saved countless lives, and I know the whole country is grateful for that.
A self-styled Anglo-jihadi has been found guilty of planning a terror attack at a major shopping centre. 21-year-old Jordan Richardson, who prosecutors said regularly expressed a wish to kill Jews, was convicted after police found a handwritten note with instructions how to make mustard gas. Jurors heard a crossbow was found at his home, and his internet history showed an affiliation with extreme Islamist ideology. He will be sentenced next month. More than 700 officers will be deployed to police this week's Europa League match between Aston Villa and the Israeli side, Maccabi Tel Aviv. Birmingham Council officials announced last month that visiting fans will be barred from attending Thursday's match over safety concerns, but rival protests are set to take place on the day. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer called for the ban to be overturned, calling it the wrong decision. A new school inspection system will be introduced in England next week after a legal challenge by the National Association of Head Teachers was rejected by the High Court. The union was trying to block Ofsted's plans to introduce a colour-coded reporting system, saying any grading will add pressure and stress for teachers and will be detrimental for their welfare. Ofsted insists it will make inspections fairer and more transparent. And the Prince of Wales has been given the keys to Rio de Janeiro at the start of his 5-day trip to Brazil. He was presented with an honour that's normally reserved for the Carnival King by Mayor Eduardo Paes while on top of Sugarloaf Mountain, with a view over the city and the iconic Christ the Redeemer statue. William, who will stage his Earthshot Prize and attend the COP30 Climate Change Summit later this week, then had a kickabout with some participants in his programme at the famous Maracanã Stadium. Those are your headlines. That's it for the moment. Now it's back to Patrick.
Heck of a lot to go out tonight. Let's get you Tuesday's front pages. We start with the Metro. 3 missed chances to stop train at Knife Man. That is, of course, about the incident that happened on the train on Saturday night and the catalogue of apparent earlier incidents. The Independent, train stab suspect could be linked to a string of attacks. So there you go. These include, allegations that he went into a barber shop not once but twice and may have been responsible for an incident involving some teenagers as well. The Daily Mail, Reeves softens us up for tax betrayal. This is huge, all right? So this would be the biggest betrayal yet. And it's a competitive field from a Labour government that seems to specialise in deceit, actually. But here we go. The Times, Reform Council's unveil plans to raise taxes by up to 5%. So that's Reform Council's there. The Sun, train suspect knifed 2 before attack. And they put that in quote marks. I will just stress, look, it is an active case. We don't know how this guy's going to plead. And Yeah, for obvious reasons, unfortunately, we have to leave that there, really. The iPaper, Reeves bids to win over voters. Can I just say, this is the award, the trophy for most ridiculous headline of the day. Reeves bids to win over voters on big tax hikes as make-or-break budget loom.
Oh, I can't wait to pay more tax.
I can't wait either. Patriotic millionaires are going to be happy, aren't they? That group of millionaires that don't voluntarily pay more tax but say that they will if everyone else is forced to. They are going to be cock-a-hoop, aren't they? The Telegraph, they go with BBC's Trump bias exposed in memo leaks. Also, as well, at the top of the Telegraph, Reeves prepares to break manifesto pledge with income tax rise. Honestly, this sobbing, incompetent buffoon that appears to be occupying number 11 is going to make us all poorer, and we are supposed to just sit back and take it. The Guardian, Reeves paves way for tax raising with tough choices taught. Well, yes, we do have a tough choice, don't we, Rachel? We can stay in Britain and turn it into your tax-high hellscape, or, like loads of people are doing, they can go to other places like Dubai, can't they, and just not live like that. Joining us now is the former editor of The Sun, Calvin Mackenzie, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, and GB News contributor and comedian Leo Kurtz. Right, I mean, should we start... I don't know, should we rotate between the Mail and the Guardian? It's two of several papers leading me this. Reeves softens us for a tax betrayal. Rachel Reeves is going to issue some kind of speech we're expecting tomorrow. In a highly unusual move, the Chancellor will use an early morning speech in Downing Street to address, quote, speculation about the contents of her budget. Yeah, she's believed to be about to just hike income tax, put 2p on the pound. I mean, Calvin, go on.
Well, what it looks as though that she's going to do, although it's not spelled out in these stories, but was certainly spelled out at the weekend and was in yesterday's Times and on Sunday's Mail on Sunday, was that what she plans to do is to put 2p in the pound on earnings over 45,000. Now, 45,000 represents the top third of earners in our countries. By the way, so I have in my family a 3-year experienced teacher at a primary school. She makes just over 40-odd thousand. A mental health nurse makes about 44. Detective sergeant, 46 and more. Or senior steward, senior steward on a long haul plane. They can make anything between about 40 and about 70. So, by the way, we're not talking about the Ryanair boss. We're not talking about the head of Unilever, but we're talking about ordinary people. And
yes, nurses and teachers.
Yes, correct. And so one of the issues that's going to emerge is that he is now saying, or Reeves is now saying, that the bottom two-thirds are the workers, right? And everybody above it, they can just shove it. And the other issue that will emerge in all this is not only is income tax going to go up, which, of course, will sentence Labour, I suspect, down to about 10 or 12% in polling. And I imagine will push the Greens up, I suspect, into the low teens or possibly even 20. He is signing his own death warrant, and he knows it.
Let me just, before I go to Leo on this, let me just play you a clip of Rachel Reeves a little while ago.
Fix the foundations of our economy, return stability to our economy. And at the budget next month, we will take the necessary steps to secure those foundations and that stability for the...
Well, that's her talking about securing the foundation, fixing the foundations of the economy, you know, all of that stuff. I've got a quote from you here, from Rachel Reeves in July. She said, when we came into office, it was our government, this government, that restored Britain's reputation as a beacon of stability by putting the public finances back on a firm footing, getting debt on a downward path, while investing prudently alongside business. Leo? I mean,
no, it's absolutely insane. They say all this stuff. They say they're going for growth. You know, they say all the words, but they don't do it. And, you know, you put a tax on sugar to stop people eating sugar. You put a tax on booze to stop people drinking booze. What do you think a tax on earning is going to do? People aren't going to take work. People, you know, if you're a high earner, you take a job for $1,000 on a Tuesday evening or something. You might be a dominatrix or something, I don't know. But, you know, if you do something like that, you're going to think, wait a minute, statement, I'm going to give 600 quid to some communists who hate me. I don't think I'll bother doing the work. I'll have a nice evening in. Instead, this is going to kill the economy. People aren't going to be earning enough. They're not going to have enough money to spend, so that's going to choke off the economy like that. They're not going to have spare money to invest, so that's going to choke off investment in businesses. And she's also hammering the economy with, she proposed a stamp duty on shares. I think that's been trounced because British companies like AstraZeneca are looking at actually listing on foreign stock exchanges because you can't afford to do business in Britain anymore. And an exit tax on high earners, millionaires who decide to leave Britain because they can't afford to live here anymore. All that's going to mean is there's going to be an even bigger stampede for the doors because so many millionaires have left already.
This is the problem. We are going to get the most monumental brain drain, Benjamin, from this country to another country that doesn't penalise people who have got a little bit of aspiration. Because that 46 grand, everyone's talking about, rightly so, by the way, doctors, well, not less so doctors, but, you know, nurses and teachers and people like that who will hit that £46,000 threshold. But it's also actually a lot of people who might have come out of uni, done their first job, got either their first promotion or got their first job beyond that kind of graduate position, who now are starting to think, all right, OK, I'm on 46 grand, you know, right, the next jump might be 70 grand, and then I might be on, in a few years' time, I can see I'm on 100 grand, and I like that. They are the people, the aspirational people, who are going to get absolutely hammered by a woman who hasn't had a real job in her life.
Well, first of all, that's completely unfair.
No, it's not.
Rachel
She
Reeves...
works in complaints at the Bank of Scotland. What's the point of that? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Like the best of us, Rachel Reeves is an LSE graduate and she's worked extremely hard and is self-made from a very ordinary background. But look,
I think... ordinary background?
Yeah, she went to a state comp in Lewisham. You know, you don't get much more ordinary than that. Now...
Oh, she's a very ordinary chancellor, so it figures, doesn't it?
Look, what I would say is that I think you sound, all three of you sound quite out of touch. The average salary, depending on how you measure it, is between £30,000 and £37,000 in this country. So most people would not be affected by this. And that, of course, includes people at the peak of their career.
More, don't they?
Yeah, but
it wants to be earning more.
But that average salary takes into account people's peak earning, which for most people will never be £46,000.
You can't be in favour. You can't be in favour of a tax rise from a government that has specifically said, literally for 2 years, more than 2 years actually, right, prior to the election, that this was not going to happen. You can't be, Ben, even you, as a fervent and very excellent advocate for Labour, can't think this is a good idea, nor can you think this will have anything but a catastrophic effect on your beloved Labour Party.
Well, I think the question isn't whether you would want it to happen, because I don't want taxes to be high. They were lower under Tony Blair than they ever were under 14 years of Conservatives, for example. But the question is, if she broke those fiscal rules, if Britain weren't able to service its debt, then what would that do to the economy? Would that be worse than this decision? And I think that's the reality of what's on her plate. Nigel Farage gave a speech today in which he said that all his pledges from July 2024 no longer stand. So there is an acceptance that things are tougher than anticipated. One point I would make is, well, 2 points. This being leaked and all over the newspapers right now will have been when the budget was submitted, because it takes about 3 weeks with the Office of Budget Responsibility to test all the figures. So what we're reading is pretty likely to be the case. The other thing is the suggestion of an exit tax. Well, if you were going to brief anything, I wouldn't brief that you were going to charge people to leave, because they might leave faster. So that does seem flawed.
All right, can I just say, before we go to cover, this was Sir Keir Starmer, right? The most... honestly, the guy is so wooden that birds nest in him. He decided, after he secured a loveless landslide victory, to stride into the Rose Garden and put all of us on anti-depression medication. Here it was.
Things are worse than we ever imagined. Frankly, things will get worse before they get better.
That's the only time I've ever heard him tell the truth, because they have got worse, and it's decisions that this Labour government has made, Calvin.
Well, look, first of all, I do accept one part of Ben's argument, that this country is really up something creek. right? Economically, we are in bad shape, and the Tories must take a good bucket load of the responsibility for that. But what has happened is the baton has been handed over to some people who said we're going to do X, Y, and Z. They're tax and spend people, and that what has happened is what we thought would happen is actually they've turned out to be as big a liars as Boris and the rest of the politicians. And can you imagine? You are Nigel Farage tonight. He's had to row back, and yet instead of him being the story actually, in a massive way, is that once again, Labour, when they get their hands on the economy, they always trash it. Yep. Now, our problem as a country is we've got 3 more years of this. Are we going to hear this every November for the next 3 years?
We're all just being asked to forget about the fact that she shouldn't still be in a job. She broke the law. Yeah. She broke the law about the landlord's rental thingy. She should be gone. She didn't have the rental licence. She was told, the story you were tweeting about, not just by one estate agent, but apparently by 2 different estate agents and leasing agents, that she needed that licence. She didn't get it. She broke the law. Under any normal circumstances, she would go. Now she is breaking a manifesto commitment. And she's cried in Parliament. Everyone's going, oh my gosh, look, the bond market's crashed because people would do the bond. They didn't want Rachel Reeves to go. No, they were crying because our female chancellor. They were crashing because our female chancellor was crying her flipping eyes out in Parliament. That's why.
Yeah, well, and also because we've got ridiculously high levels of debt, and what Labour need to do, like Starmer's message of there needs to be a bit of pain before things get better, is actually a good message, but it shouldn't be painful for the people who are going out there and working. It should be painful for the people who are just grubbing up benefits. You know what Rachel Reeves announced? She was going to the one tiny bit of tiny thing she was going to slash from benefits. So if you're on benefits, you won't get a luxury car anymore. You won't get a brand new luxury car. Yeah. It's like that's like, why were they getting luxury cars in the first place? It's like, oh, we're gonna cut public spending. Yeah, there's not going to be free Fabergé eggs handed out at job centres. This is insanity. We're being run by clowns.
It is a clown show, because the simultaneous thing about this as well is that we now have the highest energy prices essentially in the developed world, and that is singularly because of Ed Miliband now.
Well, it's not singularly because of Ed Miliband at all, is it, right?
No,
it's because of wars and conflicts.
Which are going on in a place called the world, Benjamin, right? Where every other country is. And today it's been announced that we've had, for the first time since the 1960s, no new oil wells in the North Sea. Norway has struck 30 in the last year. It's the same sea. All right? Well, we got our energy bills going through the roof. Rachel Reeves is lying about a manifesto promise. You're going to tax us all. Everyone over £46,000 is now rich. It's a clown show of a country, this.
But if we drilled for new oil, it wouldn't make things cheaper, because there is a global marketplace in which the price of that oil is set. And so we wouldn't get a lower price because it was from our shores. That's not how the system works.
We wouldn't have to subsidise wind farms, and we wouldn't have to subsidise solar. So that would actually reduce it. Let's be honest, Ben. What's going on right now is a catastrophe for our nation. We are poor.
I'm afraid, can I just say...
Are we not seriously going to see people... I mean, I'm not calling, by the way, before anyone jumps on this. So people used to fight wars over tax, right? And now here we are, just casually tossing it out there that it looks as though she's going to break the manifesto pledge. We've already got the highest tax burden since World War II, and it's going to go up again. I mean, it's disgusting.
Well, if we'd built anything for more than a decade, I dare say we wouldn't be in such a mess. But I doubt that's comfort to people now. But I'm afraid we have this terrible attitude of talking Britain down. We have the second highest growth in the G7. We have high consumer confidence levels. We have falling borrowing levels. Our inflation has flatlined. Okay?
Falling from a point higher than most Truss's borrowing.
We've also had fantastic levels of foreign investment coming into this country. I think if we stop doing ourselves down, we might do better.
Qatar is trying to buy influence in British institutions, and China is trying to buy up centres it can use as spy bases. This isn't beneficent foreign investment, all of it.
The other aspect of this is, of course, that Rachel Reeves has absolutely no credibility. People don't forget the allegation that she lied on her CV. There's obviously her weeping in Parliament on top of that as well. Then you've got the rental issue. Then you've got the fact that it just looks like she's generally quite incompetent and doesn't really fancy it. I mean, she's been wandering around looking like a zombie for the best part of the last 8 months. I don't know why she doesn't just throw the towel in and give way to someone else who might be better.
Can I just take up that point?
Yeah.
Because I can't... Reeves is clearly incompetent. Yeah, we accept that, and she does tell lies on a lot of different parts of her life. But actually, the idea that somebody else could come in and actually improve the situation, I don't think is a runner, because I think that out there are a lot more people within the Labour Party who, if they were in number 11, would actually be more and more extreme in their taxation.
We've got to go. I just want to leave you with another quote on the Daily Mail's front page. I'm really clear. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes. Pledged to the CBI, November 25th, 2024, Rachel Reeves. Thank you for the memories, Rachel. Coming up in just a moment.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell.
Well, President Trump Jr., Donald Trump Jr., has had his say on the BBC footage doctoring scandal. I've got a feeling President Trump might sue the BBC for all their worth. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Some schools are banning birthday cakes from the classroom.
Yeah, banning parents from sports. And now the great headline in the Telegraph, Labour puts the knife into nursery birthday cake. Apparently, new guidelines for the Department of Education are saying that you should not send your child into school with a cake when it's their birthday, because it's bad for them, it's going to make them fat, all the rest of this stuff. It's the nanny state once again on the march, isn't it?
Is this a new thing? Because I don't remember ever taking a birthday cake.
Oh, yeah,
on
we
my
did.
birthday.
Yeah, we did too.
Took a birthday cake.
And I think some schools I've seen that have a fake birthday cake, which is not nearly as nice, with a fake cake with a candle on, so you sing happy birthday and blow out the candle. But, you know, I love the way Jacob Rees-Mogg...
yes.
European GB News presenter has waded into this row saying, well, my children's nanny sends little cakes into school for all the children.
Absolutely.
He said
the nanny sends them in.
Only socialists
know what is acceptable and what isn't.
He says only socialists want to stop such innocent pleasures. And I think there's a real point about that. One school, actually, Broxburn Primary in Harrow, is saying, don't send your child in with a cake. Donate a book to the school library instead. I mean, that is just not a good substitute, is it?
Cakes?
No, my kids are 1 and 3, so they're not quite at that age yet. But
it'll happen.
It does it. I mean, it should, because
there is. It doesn't have to be a big splodgy cake. It can just be something.
But even if it's a bit of a treat, there's no way the calories of school birthday cake are the calories making people fat.
No.
So we should focus on the big issues rather than ruining this fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a killjoy. I think kids should have a bit of fun. I just didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah,
it's all changed since my day.
I think maybe it's the teachers who don't like the sugar rush the kids get afterwards, then they can't keep control in the classroom.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. Huge exclusive on the front of the Daily Telegraph. Here it is. OK, well, there we go. BBC's Trump bias exposed in memo leak. Corporation edited the president's speech to make it seem as though he encouraged the Capitol riot. Big story, this. Here's a clip of it.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women?
Well, President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., posted on X, the fake news reporters in the UK are just as dishonest and full of ass as the ones here in America. I'm joined now, before we go to my panel on this, by Akhil Ahmed, the former head of religion at the BBC. Thank you very much, Akhil. Tremendous to have you on. As of the 4th of December 2024, the BBC Verify team had 61 staff with a combined annual wage bill of £3.3 million. Would they be better looking at their own office, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure they're connected to this, but I know what you mean. Actually, just looking at it, I've seen the article and seen some of the things, and it's a memo obviously written by one of the external advisors to one of those groups, and I don't understand how it's got through, to tell you the truth, because it's clearly, there are all sorts of guidelines, like viewer truth, as we used to call it. But basically, if you're cutting something and it's not exactly what they said, even if they said something later on, you cannot get away with doing that kind of stuff. So I'm quite surprised, actually, that nothing's been done about it. But then again,
what has
I don't
to
know the full
happen?
details.
Do you think heads have to roll over this? I mean, the BBC's issued quite a smarmy little statement, basically saying, well, these things happen, we'll have a look into it. But, I mean, someone's got to go over this, haven't they?
Well, it's a difficult one because it's a leaked report, isn't it? Basically, this is a memo written by somebody, and actually they've debated it and they've disagreed with it. So I would want to know what was in that conversation, what was said, because it doesn't seem like that actually, the fact of the matter is, there is a thing, when you have imagery and words which don't reflect the actual truth of what was said at that particular time, not necessarily what was said across the whole thing, but at that particular time, then you have a responsibility to the audience, to the viewer, to actually point that out or not do it in the first place. So for the fact of the matter is, it seems really weird, and I'm not going to start saying head start, we need to roll, because I don't know what's gone on fully. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't look good, and there has to be an investigation. And actually, there's something like this will end up probably with Ofcom anyway. Now I'm speaking here completely in a personal capacity. I think that actually there are issues here about the trust that people have in news and in a programme like Panorama.
Oh, thank you very much, Akhil. I appreciate you coming on and being so candid with us as well. It's Akhil Ahmed, the former head of religion at the BBC. All the very best. Well, let's go to this. I mean, Kelvin, your take.
Well, there are two aspects to this. One, of course, this is the day that the BBC had it announced that the licence fee was going up from £174.50 to £181 for next year. So that's another...
Tax on working people?
And yes, and that's another reason not to pay it, by the way, if you're watching. So the other issue is, the guy who put together this dossier is a former journalist, and he put together the dossier, of which this is one allegation. And he sent it off to the chairman and various other people. They all rejected it, and actually, according to the Telegraph, all doubled down on the original Panorama, saying there was nothing that we did that was wrong. Where I agree with your lady from the US is that Trump doesn't take these things nicely. And I expect him to act in the way that he would act if this was the United States.
He sued CNN for billions.
Yeah. So I expect this to start here. Now, actually, there'll be some people on the left who say, oh, this is great. The BBC are being sued by Trump. This must be a great organisation. But I think other people will say, I tell you what, that's all very well until the BBC loses. At that, I would then think that, honestly, I would say that the Director General of the BBC would be in an impossible position, and he'll simply have to go. Yeah. And then we need to find somebody who wants this job, which seems to be somebody. After all, he was a former Tory councillor. The guy. So what would they want? What do they want? Somebody from the left to do it?
But Leo, it always strikes me when the people do go like, oh gosh, trusting the BBC might take a hit out of this. Jimmy Savile, John Hall, what else have we had?
Hugh Edwards. Hugh Edwards, he did a good job, didn't he?
Hugh Edwards.
And here is the news.
The amount of archive footage the BBC has had to shred.
It's ruined Sunday evenings. I used to love Top of the Pops too. It was the old vintage scenes.
Just when you think the BBC couldn't get any lower. If any other company had had those level of scandal and that amount of wrong-uns haunt their corridors, seriously. And then you add this to it. It's just a shocker.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's good to hear that the licence fee is going up, because that's more money I'm saving by not paying it. So I've just got
when was the last time you paid it?
15 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you ever get those brown envelopes, people knocking at the door?
My wife, I used to enjoy getting the letters because I was like, well, this is wasting their time. But my wife got nervous and she filled in the thing saying we don't need it because we don't watch the BBC. So, and now I'm watching it all the time. I'm just sitting there blasting songs of praise. Just love it. You know what I mean? Like an outlaw. The outlaw Josie Wales and his free Bake-Off watching, or whatever they show on the BBC. I don't actually watch it.
That's on Channel 4.
Is it? Okay.
Isn't there something now about Tom Daly's doing knitting?
That's also on Channel 4.
Is it on Channel 4? Good, all right. Okay,
yeah, the BBC as a sort of state behemoth should be trustworthy. It should be the totem that we can all turn to, and it's unbiased, and we can trust it. And in this case, it's absolutely been so biased, and not just in a way that lies, in a way that's diplomatically dangerous for Britain.
Yeah, and everyone who ever works for BBC, they leave and they end up doing, pretty much everyone, they end up doing a podcast or a radio show or some kind of television show where they come out and at some point they do the big reveal. It's like their kind of coming out party, but they always just come out as a trot.
I don't think that's fair. I mean, look, as I think it was Kelvin pointed out, the Director General was a Conservative councillor. The chair of the chair of the BBC board was in Theresa May's government. He was Director of Comms or something, wasn't he? So there were lots of Conservatives at the BBC.
Really winning us over here.
Could I just show? I don't know whether you can see this one. Can you come in close on it? I've been sent this, which says he started believing things I knew weren't true, and I thought it was Alzheimer's. Then I realised he was watching the BBC. So this is it. You die by humour in the end, and I think
you did.
All right, on that note, a BBC spokesperson has told GBNews, by the way, get a load of how smarmy this comment is. Well, we don't comment on leaked documents. When the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. Michael Prescott is a former advisor to the board committee, where differing views and opinions of our coverage are routinely discussed and debated. Then we all sat down and we sung Come By Our in a thought circle. Coming up in just a moment, and don't forget, we're going to be continuing our coverage of this story. Oh yeah, how could we forget? Live from Washington DC with Bev Turner, host of The Late Show Live on GB News. I'll tell you what I've got coming up on my show as well, because that might be nice. Well, obviously, we've got the very latest when it comes to this alleged stabbing on the train. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how the front pages are dealing with that as well. And much more. Stay tuned.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Bit of wet weather around tonight and tomorrow. In places, that rain will be heavy too. Staying quite mild, staying quite blustery as well, with the best of any dry and bright weather across the north. Low pressure is dominating, sitting up to the northwest. A whole host of weather fronts and isobars sitting across us, telling us it's going to be windy and, in places, wet lines of rain, just kind of affecting northern England, Northern Ireland, parts of southern Scotland and Wales. The rain particularly heavy over Cumbria, where we do have a Met Office yellow warning in place, returning to southwest England later in the night. Northern Scotland turning a little clearer, could dip down to single figures here, but for most, double digits, a very mild night, and some places staying in the teens. A mild start then, but it will be a wet start, particularly over parts of northwest England. Showers coming into northwest Scotland, but actually a good part of Scotland should have a dry start to Tuesday. May even be a bit of sunshine around. Same goes for the north and the west of Northern Ireland, but quite a bit of cloud close by to Belfast. Could be a bit wet here. Certainly looking very wet across Cumbria in the morning. Much of West and South Wales and Devon and Cornwall also starting pretty soggy. The rain getting heavier and more persistent here through the day. That is an area we need to watch potential for some local flooding and certainly a lot of spray and surface water on the roads. Much of eastern England will stay dry. Quite a bit of cloud around here and still quite breezy, although not as windy as today. The wind strengthening, though, later in the southwest. Another pretty mild day, double digits, and many places staying in the teens. Wednesday's also looking mild. Again, much of northern Scotland dry and bright with some sunshine. Again, most of England and Wales cloudy with wet weather, particularly over western England and Wales, spreading back towards Northern Ireland and southern Scotland later on. With a bit of brightness across the southeast, we could again get up to 16, maybe 17 Celsius, but again, quite breezy, particularly so in the south.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Loads more coming up on this show, of course. Going to be talking a little bit about that story about the train suspect taking place and the fact that we are now the European capital for asylum seeker applications. That's something that's happened today as well. But before we go to that, of course, we're going to go stateside now to The Late Show live from midnight till 2 a.m. with GB News' very own Bev Turner. Bev, thank you very, very much. What's going to be on your menu for us this evening, then?
Well, of course, we are leading, Patrick, with this story that is the front page of The Telegraph. We've got the journalist who broke that story on The Late Show live tonight about the BBC stitching up Donald Trump, editing that Panorama documentary to make it look like he incited that riot. We are also waiting on tenterhooks for more reaction from the White House to that story. Donald Trump Jr., as you showed, has already made a statement on social media saying the UK media is as corrupt as America. No, it isn't. We get things right all the time. That's one of the reasons we are in this city, in fact, is to correct a lot of this misinformation about what is happening in this country and to let people see that there are two sides to this story. Do not believe what you hear on the BBC when it comes to Donald Trump and this Republican government and their popularity. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking to some very angry MAGA fans and also, Patrick, the stabbing incident. We will also be putting an American perspective on that. If you've committed crimes or you're seen out and about doing things you should not be doing, will you be free to roam the streets 24 hours later and commit crime? And we're also going to be looking at Nigel Farage's reform speech from earlier today. I was gripped to that this morning, so we'll take a look at that as well. Late Show live from midnight.
Thank you very, very much. Now, just closer to home here, there is indeed one story absolutely dominating a lot of the newspapers. No, it's not just Rachel Reeves's manifesto pledged break to hike taxes. It is, of course, that Huntingdon knife attack case. 32-year-old Anthony Williams has appeared in court charged with 11 counts of attempted murder, including over an incident in East London on Saturday morning. The stabbing of a teenage boy on Friday was included in that. 2 sightings of a man with a knife at a barber shop in Peterborough on Saturday are now apparently part of the inquiry. Another development, of course, is that Scunthorpe United footballer Jonathan Josh is one of 8 people who sadly remain in hospital. Now that Anthony Williams has been charged, it is, of course, an active case, which means we can't speculate on it. But we did manage to talk about the general case of criminality in the UK, whether or not people feel safe on our streets. Calvin, I'm a little bit sick and tired, really, of the usual suspects telling us actually everything's fine in Britain, or if you feel scared, it's dangerous scaremongering. You see stuff happening every single day.
Well, I mean, one of the difficulties of discussing knife crime where such a tragedy has taken place is that we can't go into the detail of it. I did find it bizarre, though, no matter where it is in the country, that somebody could be wandering around a high street with a knife, and huge videos exist, huge numbers of photographs exist, some of which have been published on the front pages of our national newspapers, presumably after having been extensively lawyered, and that this didn't lead to some action that you might expect it to happen. The knife crime in London is a massively serious issue involving actually young black lads mainly dying from it and mainly being the perpetrators of it. And one of the things that annoys me about Mayor Khan, and seems to annoy other people about it as well, is that he refuses to accept that knife crime is an issue in London.
All right, I just want to say a couple of things. Again, as you are seeing on your screens right now, and as you will see if we roll through the papers as well, the newspaper media, the print media, is going big on this story. I do want to stress that this is an active case. We don't know how the individual is going to plead. Of course, everyone in this country is innocent until they're proven guilty and all of that stuff. But in terms of a general conversation, which I think is the points that Kelvin was making there, about speaking generally about the prevalence of knife crime and potentially a lack of police action, not to do with this case, but just generally speaking, are people feeling as though if you were to, hypothetically speaking, call the police and say there's been a bloke in my shop with a gun or a knife, one would expect that maybe the police would turn up to that, because they didn't turn up to the first incident here.
But then, I mean, the guy hadn't sent a tweet. He didn't have any Brexity books. So, obviously the police have got their priorities, and their priorities seem to be tyrannising the law-abiding population, interfere and allowing the riffraff of society to run free and do whatever they want. I think nobody feels safe in Britain at the moment. I was in Israel last week. I was within a kilometre of the Gaza Strip. I visited the scenes of massacres. I went to the West Bank, and I felt safer the whole time than I do walking around London. It's insane. And I think this is something that has just been allowed to get out of hand. And they're talking about putting airport-style scanners at train stations. So if you're running late for your train, you're going to have to queue up for 45 minutes and go through one of these scanners. It's an absolute nonsense. Instead of having all these little borders and security facilities and surveillance inside the country, why don't we just have a secure border around the country and stop people getting in? I know that people say this guy's a British national or English or whatever. Come on.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Again, I will just stress that obviously we're speaking generally here about knife crime as a whole and whether or not people feel safe to walk the streets. But you actually feel remarkably safe despite having been mugged.
Well, I mean, first of all, on the scanners thing, the Transport Secretary has said that won't be something they think is reasonable adjustment from what's happened. But yeah, if you look at the evidence, in the last year, the number of murders in London is the lowest on record. They've only had records for 22 years, but it's the lowest it's ever been. The number of violent incidents recorded in the UK is down 75% from 1995. Now, that is a significant change.
Sorry, can I just say on that? Do you not think that part of that is that people aren't calling the police anymore because they don't think anything's going to be done?
Well,
they don't feel that there's any trust there at all. But also, it's not all just about violent stuff, is it? Massive amounts of shoplifting, massive amounts of vandalism, massive amounts of drug use, etc.
Massive amounts of phone stealing.
Phone theft, all of that stuff. Those things are on the up, aren't they? Fraud is on the up.
But I think it's important not to fearmonger that things like the allegations of the weekend, the monstrous attacks that sometimes make the headlines, they are not becoming more common, they're becoming less common. Murders are down significantly on decades ago. The difference is that now everything is filmed and we see these atrocities, so they, of course, ring true in a far greater extent.
Well, can I just say, at my train station tonight, talking to the we now employ platform people to tell people where to go. He said that he had to stop two 15-year-olds, a boy and a girl, setting fire to a bunch of stuff they were on the station. This was at 9:45 at night.
But teenage boys have been like that forever.
Absolutely bizarre that this could happen when trains and stations were at the height of the news.
Can I also just make a point? We're going to move on, which is that it's already well and good people saying that murders are down, but big scale incidents are down. But that is also partly because we now have airport-style security at things like Christmas markets. We have MI5 working flat out because of the jihadi threat and all of this stuff that's going on at the moment. We have rings of steel around Parliament, around cameras everywhere. there, which is the kind of thing that then ends up reducing it a little bit. But if we didn't have those things, if we did not have those things, can you imagine the level of drug trafficking?
Well, also, I don't mind if gangsters kill each other. I think that's great. Drug gangs want to wipe each other out. Brilliant. I'll pay for the bullets. But when it's innocent people who are just trying to get home on an evening, that's a different kettle of fish.
Of course, it's appalling, but these things aren't going up, they're going down. But there is a greater sense of these things because of social media and also because of low-level things like constant thefts from supermarkets.
All right, OK, well, we'll leave it at that. Again, I am at pains to stress...
I think having your phone stolen, actually, I don't find as a low level.
No, quite. All right, yeah, just at pains to stress that, look, obviously, there's an active case. We're not saying that the individual that we've been talking about in part there is definitely guilty or anything along those lines. We will have to wait and see and let the law take its course. So there we go. Coming up in just a moment, do you remember this?
To go after the criminal gangs, to smash the gang networks.
To smash the smuggling gangs.
Smash the gangs.
To smash the gangs.
Yeah, I like the way that we put mastermind in there. Anyway, so we've got the highest year on record for asylum claims, and there's yet another ginger jihadi. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's a slightly mixed picture across the Mediterranean at the moment. We've seen a band of rain across Eastern Europe that's now slipping its way into Greece tomorrow, so if you are heading out there, don't forget the umbrella. But many other central areas seeing some quite nice sunshine, but there's another band of rain beginning to push into western Portugal and northwestern Spain. This coming quite soon after they've had localised flooding last week, so there could be some further issues there. That rain band will slip across other areas of Spain, but elsewhere staying largely dry.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
All right, let's rattle through a couple of stories quickly. So the Daily Telegraph has also got this. Britain posted the biggest rise in asylum claims in Europe last year. New figures show it's up to 108,000. We've outstripped our friends on the continent, France and Germany, in terms of the level of increase, not necessarily the level of number, but still, at that point, who really cares? So, Kelvin, I mean, this is directly responsible, the responsibility of Labour, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're what they're doing, and I'm sure that Labour think this is a good idea in the same way as they think that putting up taxes is a good idea. They're hurrying through the people that arrive by boat and by lorry and by plane at 100 miles an hour to try and say at the end there is no different, you know.
Yeah.
But 100,000 people, that is 3 or 4 Durhams. I mean, it's a massive number, and we should be ashamed.
One is enough.
Well, cool. But I actually really like Durham. Can I just to rattle through this, but we've not spoken about this yet. There's a gym instructor who's called himself an Anglo-Jihadi. He is, in case you're wondering, yes, ginger. He's called Jordan Richardson. He's 21. He's just been found guilty of carrying around a recipe for mustard gas in his rucksack, as well as plans to shoot, stab and throw grenades at a crowd. Excuse me. Also been linked to an ISIS bomb-making video used by the Manchester Arena bomber. I mean, look, this guy's just been found guilty anyway, and there you go. So this is a convert jihadi.
Yeah, and they are always ginger, as you pointed out. I don't know what it is. I think it's because they're promised some virgins, and they think now's finally my chance. But yeah, I really don't know why they are always ginger. We've got to see what the causal link is here. I mean, at the moment, you know, I think racial profiling should just be in terms of ginger men.
Well, I don't know about that, but I would just point out, having spent a lot of time in the Middle East, ginger hair is a common trait among Middle Easterns.
They dye it with henna, don't they?
They don't dye it. It's real. It's a common hair colour in the Middle East and in Afghanistan as well.
So it's not beards.
It's not nearly as unusual as people imagine, but I don't know that there's any causation with crimes.
Well, I wonder if there is a thing, because I think that it's something that it's like the last acceptable form of kind of prejudice, isn't it? Which is bullying the ginger. I'm not saying it is acceptable.
Oh, there's lots more acceptable.
No, right, okay, fine. But this is it. And I do wonder if some people who are ginger, who've been bullied at school, resonate with more quotes unquote marginalised communities, and that's one of the reasons why they end up flocking to more radical aspects of the Islamic religion.
I don't know whether that's true. I'm not prepared to get into a debate that somebody who's called a ginger at school ends up trying to kill lots of people. So I hope this guy gets about 25 years and let it be a message to anybody else who fancies to convert to a different kind of religion.
You know, both my parents were ginger, so I really got lucky. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also we don't upset the ginger community, because I mean it's one thing getting
That's not the way your parents do.
Beheaded by ginger. There's no honour in that.
All right, OK, we'll leave that there. Probably should have not maybe done it. OK, so, well, yes, here's the roundup of the newspapers. The Metro, 3 missed chances to stop Knife Man. The Daily Mail, Reeves softens up for tax betrayal. The Times, Reform Council unveils plans to rise taxes by 5%. The Sun, train suspect knife before attack. The Guardian, Reeves paves way for tax raising with tough choices talk. The Mirror, heroes of the train horror as bravery saved many lives. The Express, police probe 3 incidents before train attack. The Daily Telegraph, BBC's Trump bias exposed in memo. That's all from us here in our Paddington studio. It's over to Washington, D.C. with the wonderful Bev Turner. Bev.
Thank you, Patrick. Well, the biggest story in the UK might just become the biggest story here in America. It joins our 2 countries. The president here, is he about to go to legal war with the state broadcaster, the BBC? Find out in a minute.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag, and we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Well, this is GB News. Up next, it's The Late Show Live with the one and only Bev Turner from Washington, D.C. And we really are going right to the heart of the action of one of the biggest stories dominating the British press at the moment. The front of the Daily Telegraph, their huge expose. BBC